Taylor. I'm from Leeds. I'm a psychological thriller suspense writer. I write for HarperCollins Killer Reads, and I'm really delighted to be here at Newcastle Noir. I'm going to be doing the Yorkshire Noir panel at 11:30. Really excited about that. Favourite was Nightmare. Yeah, well, I have to say, this is my first one as a punter and a writer, so I'm really excited to be here. I love Newcastle. I came to university in the northeast, so Newcastle is, well, I'm reacquainting myself with it, but it's a beautiful city, and what a fantastic festival. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and it just seems really well organised. Yeah, very impressed. This is a great festival, great to be a part of it. There's some really great people and lovely writers who are always willing to chat, and the panels are really interesting.
Now, I think given that this is Yorkshire Noir, I think what we will start to talk about the kind of importance of place in your writing. I think it'd be interesting maybe to start with you, Danny, because you're the exception on the from our four authors. We've got you're all from Yorkshire, but you've chosen to set your debut novel on a Scottish island.
I have, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting because I look back over everything I've ever written, short stories and discarded novels, and everything is set within about 5-mile radius of my house in Yorkshire. And weird that my debut might turn out to be set on an island off northwestern Scotland. But it's still very much about place. It's still that, the geography of isolation and the paranoia and claustrophobia of bleak, open spaces. With not very many people around and not very much civilization. So it's still very much kind of rooted in that same landscape that I'm familiar with.
And where did the idea come from to take it to Scotland, to have the setting there?
So it's set on an island off Scotland that actually was used for biological warfare testing in the Second World War. So it's an island called Grignard Island that some people may have heard of. Anthrax Island is what the media called it when the files were declassified in the 90s. It was used for testing anthrax for bombs that were destined to be dropped on Germany. Fortunately, never were. But it left the island lethally contaminated for decades until it was finally cleaned up in the late 80s. And finally declared safe to revisit in the 90s. The premise of my novel, obviously, is that there's been a resurgence of that contamination and they've gone back to undertake a survey, but I really wanted to root it on that particular island to use that rich history.
And in terms of sort of place and the importance of place, obviously this is Yorkshire Noir. Do you think you'll revisit or go back to Yorkshire for future?
Absolutely.
writing?
So I'm writing the sequel at the moment and it's set within 5 miles of my house again.
Glad to hear it. Amit, the Harry Verdi series are obviously done fantastically over the last few years. I've been reading City of Sinners, which is sort of the latest, just coming out in paperback shortly, which is the latest in the series. It has an amazing opening set. I mean, the novels are sort of all set in Bradford, but the opening of this one is set in, a body is found in Bradford's most beautiful bookstore. Can you tell the audience a little bit about how that came to be? And
yeah, I was actually doing the book launch for Girl Zero, and I was sitting in Waterstones being interviewed by a journalist, and it's bizarre. I mid-question, I just looked up to the ceiling and I thought, it's about 50 foot in the air. It's the old Wool Exchange building. It's got this Gothic bohemian architecture. It's definitely the most magnificent Waterstones in the country. And I just looked up to the ceiling and I just thought it'd be really weird, wouldn't it, if there was a dead body hanging from that ceiling? So I continued with the Girl Zero book launch and answered the questions, and I was doing all the book signings and I looked up to the ceiling and she was still there. And I walked out and she was still there. And I go to Waterstones every week. And every time I walked in, she was just there, hanging from the ceiling, saying, "Harry, how did I get here? You must figure this out." So she just didn't stop talking to me, and then it got worse because I thought, actually, when Harry gets her down, the one thing a dead body should never do is blink, and she starts blinking. Her eyes are sewn shut, and she's blinking, and then Harry's just like, "What the hell is going on?" And so I just these impossible ideas come into your head, and then it's about trying to figure out how and why, because she didn't stop talking to me, and the novel, that's the opening of the book, and Waterstones are very happy, and people go into the branch now and they're like, which window was she hanging from? Because there's a secret entrance that takes you up to the ceiling, and you can go along this really narrow corridor, and it's got this magnificent sort of windows, ornate windows, and I just thought, yeah, I can definitely do this. So I put the assistant manager in there. She finds the body. She was very clear. She said, look, I don't want to be a mumbling wreck when I find this victim. And I was like, Jane, if you walked into your branch and saw one of your staff dead hanging from the ceiling, I'm fairly certain you would freak out. She was like, I don't want to be a crying wreck. I want to be really strong with this. And I'm just like, well, it's your call, but personally, if I saw a dead body hanging from the ceiling at my place of work, I'm fairly certain I would freak out.
Yeah, I'm Nick Quantrill. I'm a crime writer from Hull, and I write the Joe Geraghty series of books, also set in Hull. Newcastle Noir is one of my favourite festivals, actually. I think this is my third visit, maybe fourth visit. Previously in the Lytton Phil, but I think the new venue in the City Library is fantastic. It's a great festival that has a very northern feel to it. Lots of great writers, lots of great readers. It's a fantastic weekend to come up to Newcastle, especially on a bank holiday, and enjoy the city. Where it's kind of still building. It's to come along and enjoy it, because you'll find that the writers are very approachable, very friendly, willing to sign the books, willing to chat about the books. So yeah, I think if you've got an interest in crime fiction, this is a great festival to come along to and get a little bit closer to the action.